Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
This evening we're here to hear from the candidates for the 96th District, the state of Pennsylvania Congressional District.
I'm Tom Garman. I'm a small business owner inside the community, and it's my pleasure to be here, and I'm very thankful for you coming out, braving the weather tonight. The reason that I'm running in the 96th District is very simple. Our community is literally right now financially falling apart. Our schools are falling apart with 15 schools failing. We need to get back fiscal responsibility and concern about our community. The community that surrounds us, all right, we have beautiful people, and we also truly, truly want to work together. And that's what we need to do. As I go door to door and introduce myself to the 96th District voters, I hear it. Schools are failing, we have lack of money, and there's a lack of concern about our special interests. I, Tom Garman, want to be the voice for us moving to Harrisburg at the end of this election. With your help, we can do that. Thank you.
Sturla, I'm the current state representative for the 96th District in Lancaster. One of the things that I think is important, particularly in this election, is that for the last 2 years we have suffered under the Culbreth administration and the cuts that they have made to the budget. The biggest example of that is that 2 years ago the Culbreth administration cut basic education in the state of Pennsylvania by close to $1 billion. That translates into about $10,000 per classroom in the city of Lancaster. What's really sad about the way that they cut that $1 billion also was that the wealthiest district in the state, Radnor, got cut less than $1,000 per classroom. Some of the poorest districts in the state, which we aren't, but we're fairly poor, but places like Chester Upland and some out in Pittsburgh got cut close to $45,000 per classroom. The poorest got cut the most, and the wealthiest got cut the least. During the previous administration, I was successful in helping both Governor Rendell and those in charge with making sure that we got, in most cases, more than our fair share. If you look at my record over the last 20 years, on average, the school district of Lancaster has received more funds as a percentage than the average school district in the state of Pennsylvania. And that's because we have needs, which I've been able to explain to those people in Harrisburg. This current administration failed to pass a Marcellus Shale bill that provides any amount of reasonable taxation. And as a result, we're losing $1 billion in revenue in the state of Pennsylvania that even the drilling companies themselves say they're willing to pay. But we have a governor who says he won't, and we have a legislature that goes along with that because they say under no circumstances will they allow any taxes, no matter what they are. Just to give you an example to contrast what we had in Pennsylvania versus what we have going on now, we did pass a transportation bill in the last administration that dealt with the state's crumbling infrastructure. Currently, this administration refuses to pass a transportation bill. We implemented environmental issues or legislation which dealt with green infrastructure and with solar. This administration has rolled back environmental regulations. In the past administration, we expanded the children's health insurance program to a Cover All Kids program where every child in the state of Pennsylvania was eligible for health insurance. We also created Adult Basic, which meant that thousands, tens of thousands of working Pennsylvanians, you had to be working in order to qualify for it, qualified for reduced and subsidized health insurance. This administration, in its first act, eliminated Adult Basic, and 44,000 working Pennsylvanians lost their health care. One of their next acts was to cut medical assistance, and 88,000 children lost health care coverage in the state of Pennsylvania. We expanded PACE in the last administration, the pharmaceutical assistance contract for the elderly. We brought the gaming industry into Pennsylvania and taxed them at a rate of 55%. Now remember, New Jersey's taxing at a 3% rate, Nevada's taxing at a 6% rate. They wanted to come to Pennsylvania, and we said, how about a 55% rate? And they said, okay. Contrast that with what we did with the drilling industry, which in every other state pays a tax, a severance tax. Here we said, we're not going to charge you a severance tax at all. You can go free. We'll pass on the $1 billion we could generate for the citizens of Pennsylvania. I'll get to some more of these things as we go on. I don't want to overextend my welcome in the opening remarks, but that is a tiny chunk of some of the reasons why I want to still continue to represent the people of Pennsylvania here in the 96th District and to try and bring jobs, economic development, and programs here to the city. Thank you.
My name is Paul Culbreth. I'm a lifelong resident of Lancaster City. Fourth generation, hailed out of Peach Bottom. Avid follower of history, especially African American history. I'm here with my wife, my daughter, and son-in-law. Why am I running for this seat? And I'll try not to blink. My platform would have three things, and we'll probably get a chance to elaborate on them a little later on. The first one is educational reform. Educational reform has a two-part or a two-prong: funding and curriculum. As you may or may not know, I am a member of the school board. And this year we had a real task of trying to eliminate a $7 million deficit in which we inherited from the state in order to continue services or educational services to our students. But this year, it was $7 million. Next year, it's projected to be another $8 million. And we're asking, when will this insanity stop? When will folks in Harrisburg start thinking outside the box? Because the current structure is not working. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that if you put too much weight on this wagon, and if you continually put weight on this wagon, it's going to eventually break down. And we know that free public education now is no longer free. The second area that I would like to take a look at is economic development. Economic development in some of your poorer areas of the city. There are 4 quadrants in the city of Lancaster. And if you count downtown, it's 5. And there's some of your Manheim Township area and Lancaster Township. But out of those 4 major quadrants, you have 2 that are prosperous, are very vigorous and prosperous. And then you have two sectors that are in total disrepair. And, it's time that, in order to make Lancaster whole, you'll need to make the least or the most distressed components of the city whole. The last area would be quality of life issues. We have seen a lot of things. Community-based organizations have been tasked with trying to provide these services that have been thrusted down upon them. Go there, go here, counseling here, counseling there. They're pushing folks, your hardest to serve folks or your folks in need, into these community-based organizations for services. And if you look around, those community-based organizations are withering on the vine. They themselves are in distress. So how can they help the folks that are being sent to them when they can't help themselves? So that's one area that, that needs to be taken a look at as well. Thank you.